Hi there, my name's Richard Woods from Auckland Council Civil Defence and Emergency Management. Today we're going to talk about tsunami, what a tsunami is, Auckland's risk to tsunami, and how you can find more information about your own community's risk. Firstly, let's understand what a tsunami is. Here's a short clip from Genius Science.
Normal ocean waves are created by the wind, and they happen on the top surface of the water. Tsunamis are quite different to normal ocean waves. They're caused by a displacement of the water. A tsunami can occur from an earthquake, from a volcanic eruption, from a landslide, or even from a meteor crashing into the ocean from outer space. In most cases, the tsunami is created by the sea floor displacing the water from underneath. Here we can see how geological forces build up to finally cause an earthquake. The water is then displaced and the tsunami radiates in all directions across the ocean. In our case, we'll just displace the water from above. A tsunami in the open ocean would have a wavelength which is thousands of times greater than this. And as the tsunami travels along, the depth of the ocean gets shallower, but the wave builds and the front becomes steeper and crashes on the beach. Compared to the wind-blown waves that only reach a little way onto the beach, the tsunami wave can run a long way inland.
Now we understand that tsunami can be generated from a number of sources. The most likely source for Auckland is from a large earthquake, either close to New Zealand or from around the Pacific. Let's have a look at where these may be generated from and where they've occurred in the past. Firstly, let's look at Southeast Asia and the Pacific Islands. There is a large tsunami generated in 2009 from Samoa, and it affected the islands there, and tsunami was recorded at the coast of New Zealand and Auckland. Moving further up, near Japan, in March of 2011, there was a magnitude 9.0 earthquake, which generated substantial tsunami locally and also affected New Zealand as well. Further north of that location, the Kamchatka Peninsula, right across to Canada, there have been a number of tsunamis that have occurred in the 20th century. All of those earthquakes generated tsunami that affected New Zealand. Further down onto the western seaboard of the United States, the tectonic plates change, so rather than going down beneath each other and flicking up, displacing water to generate tsunami, they move side to side. That side to side movement generally means that tsunami are less likely to be generated from that location. As we move further south to South America, we find that the greatest risk to Auckland is generated from large quakes adjacent to the west coast of South America. Here we've had many large earthquakes that have had tsunami recorded in New Zealand, including Auckland. In 1868, a magnitude 9 earthquake close to the border of Peru and Chile caused a tsunami that affected the entire New Zealand coast. As we go further into the Southern Ocean basin, there have been around magnitude 8 earthquakes that have generated tsunami that affect New Zealand. Because of this location, the threat to Auckland is less than that of South America. At the Tonga Kermadec Trench, on the east coast of the North Island of New Zealand, the Pacific Plate is being subducted down beneath the Australian Plate. That builds up a lot of energy, and when that's released, as earthquakes, the bottom of the seafloor is pushed up and a tsunami is generated. This means that the tsunami risk to the North Island of New Zealand, including parts of Auckland, may see wave heights similar to those observed in March of 2011 in Japan. Let's talk about how we're notified of tsunami. In New Zealand, the Ministry of Civil Defence issue official warnings to help us understand which communities may be at threat. For tsunamis that are generated far away from Auckland, we will have sufficient time to provide an official warning across a number of platforms. If a tsunami is generated close to New Zealand, it's likely you will feel the earthquake. If you feel an earthquake that lasts for longer than a minute or is difficult to stand up in, you must evacuate from low-lying areas yourself and not wait for an official warning. Auckland Civil Defence and Emergency Management have developed a series of tsunami evacuation maps, which provide an indication of those areas which you should evacuate from if you do feel a large earthquake. Most low-lying areas in Auckland will be affected by large tsunami. The northeastern communities of the region are at greater risk from a large earthquake occurring on the Tonga Kermadec Trench. As the wave moves across the Pacific Ocean, it moves towards the North Island of New Zealand. It strikes the Coromandel Peninsula and Great Barrier Island first, but the inlet between lets waves propagate right across and affect those northeastern communities. For the rest of Auckland, down in the Hauraki Gulf and south of Whangaparoa, the waves have to turn around the Coromandel Peninsula and move down towards Auckland City. In those areas, the waves start to lose energy, they start to move together, and the inundation extents aren't as significant. How are you notified if a tsunami is coming towards Auckland? If a large earthquake has occurred near New Zealand and a tsunami has been generated, the natural warning will be the earthquake. You should evacuate from low-lying areas and those areas on the evacuation maps if you do feel a large earthquake. From elsewhere in the Pacific, there are a number of dart buoys around the Pacific Ocean which warn us of whether or not a tsunami is coming. In Auckland, we have a number of alerting systems. We have smartphone devices, emails or text alerts, and there are some tsunami sirens around the region. The important thing is that we don't rely on one public alerting system, such as sirens or just text alerts. After a large earthquake, communication systems may be down or infrastructure may be damaged, so we have to rely on a number of systems to ensure that we can get as many messages out as possible. For more information on Auckland's tsunami risk, public alerting options, or to find the evacuation maps, visit the Auckland Civil Defence and Emergency Management website.